Okay, thanks again for joining us. This is Marty M. Fahncke, host of Midweek Momentum, and I am very excited today to have a special guest with a very cool topic. Our guest is Kathleen Beales, and Kathleen was actually a guest on this show back in May, which was about, wow, it's been 5 months ago. And of all the guests that I have had on Midweek Momentum, she has had the highest number of positive comments and positive feedback. And at the end of every Midweek Momentum, a little survey pops up asking about the session and what the audience learned, etc. And Kathleen had the highest scores of any of our presenters. So I'm really excited that she has come back to join us again. And the topic that Kathleen is going to be presenting today is called From Idea to Indie Author, 7 Ways to Increase Your Business with a Book. And it's a fantastic topic, and I know a lot of people who have written books and had a very significant positive impact on their business. So I'm very excited to have Kathleen with us today. And after the presentation from Kathleen, we will have some time for Q&A, and then we'll wrap things up in about 30 to 40 minutes. The topic of, the promise of Midweek Momentum is to get you some great content, something that you can really use in your business, and then get you back to work so that we are keeping momentum going. Now, Kathleen Beales has been a friend of mine for over, almost 2 years now, I would say, 1.5 years. And she's the author of a wonderful book called A Return to Innocence. She's the host of the Live Inspired radio show, and she's recently become a seminar producer and has a very interesting seminar to tell us about. If you're in the Florida area, you're really going to want to listen up. But if you're not in the Florida area, you're still going to want to listen up for the future when Kathleen brings her new seminar to you. And I'd like to introduce Kathleen now. Are you there, Kathleen?
I sure am. Thanks for having me, Marty.
Thanks for being on Midweek Momentum, and super excited. You're the very first person who's ever come back twice as a guest. So.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you giving me the time today to talk about a topic that I'm so passionate about. So, without further ado, I was thinking that we'd launch right into it because I have tons to cover and want to just get on going. How's that sound?
That's the plan. We'll let you crank on through it. And just very quickly, for the sake of the audience, if you have questions for Kathleen, you can ask them 2 different ways. Either you can send the question in via the text chat feature on your webinar control panel, and I'll see those questions and be able to ask Kathleen. Or you can use the little raise hand feature, and you can come on the line and talk to Kathleen or talk to me once Kathleen's presentation is over. So you have the choice of using your fingers or your voice to communicate. And with that, we're going to have Kathleen Beales, From Idea to Indie Author, 7 Ways to Increase Your Business with a Book. Take it away, Kathleen.
Thank you. Okay, the business of books. It is big, and I mean that with a big B, I, and a G, and an exclamation point. And with an ever-expanding indie or self-published marketplace, more and more people are publishing faster, easier, and with greater and greater quality of product. How do I know this? Well, as Marty mentioned, I'm an indie author. Except when I began the process of bringing my book to market, YouTube, blogs, and internet marketing of creative content was still relatively untapped or just not nearly as expansive as it is today. These days, mainstream publishers can't compete. With less than 1% of manuscripts ever getting past the front door and long lead time to get your book to market, why bother anyway? You have the power to increase your business with a book, and I have the tools in the slideshow just now to show you how. Today I'm going to show you why, and at the end you get to ask me, how do I do that? Okay, so I am slightly non-proficient at the PowerPointing here. Here we go. Okay, the New York Times reported, and I loved this site, so anyone can ask me on where to find these stats. According to a recent survey, 81% of people feel they have a book inside of them. That's 200 million people in the U.S. That's crazy. That's huge. So therefore, I know that somewhere on that panel that's listening right now, you're thinking you have one too. Well, 7 of the reasons why you should have a book in order to increase your business is 1, enhance your brand or brand equity. Brand equity is the equivalent of your goodwill and your name recognition. And with a book, imagine Robert Kiyosaki, T. Harv Eker, Jack Canfield, and Louise Hay were all self-published when they began. Your book doesn't need to be in Barnes & Noble to be successful, but enhancing your brand and your brand equity can only increase your business and therefore your net worth. Elevate your USP. Your unique selling proposition immediately elevates your status. You are an author. In other words, you take the time out to organize your thoughts, you get it on paper, and you get published. It's an undertaking that's admired by most and revered by many. Remember, 200 million people in the United States alone wish to become authors. Make sure you've done it, but make sure you've done it well. Next, increase your credibility as an authority. Imagine a client is sitting in the train with you and he's got a book on his lap. You lean over and you say, "What is that?" It's conversation. A book is a conversation piece. And when someone says, "This is my chiropractor's book telling me about skeletal health," that other individual says, "Oh my goodness, really?" It sets you apart from another chiropractor. We know there are tons of them in the United States alone. So you see, it turns you into, like I said here, oh, it's great. It's about insert your subject, insert your name. Is a guru in the field. I love this book. In other words, it's a billboard, like I said in the other slide. Your credibility, your authority within your industry. Solidify your platform. You see, in essence, your book is your platform. For example, once again, I have chiropractors on my mind this morning. You specialize in homeopathic methods and total wellness. You write a book on the importance of total wellness, and you maintain how to maintain musculoskeletal health through homeopathy. This is your platform. In other words, not only inside your building, but outside, you are now touching people with who you are and what you're selling or what you're about, the information that you're wishing to give, to provide. The other reason that you want to write a book is because it creates new avenues for business. I'm sure that if you're looking at writing a book or you're looking at, it doesn't matter whether you sell a widget or you sell a service. People want to hear from you because if you're only locked into the walls of your office or your current clientele, you may be stopping yourself from doing other things in business. Besides your book sales, there are speaking engagements and keynotes, and I can tell you that when it comes to speaking engagements and keynotes, being an author can only excel that platform and create new avenues to make money in business by sharing your information. Remember, earlier slides, you've already covered being the authority, creating your platform, creating your USP through your book, and now you get to share it in other ways. The other things you can do is repurpose your book content. So if you write a book, or the reverse, there are many people that are really big bloggers. And so if you're blogging all the time, and you take that information, bring it together, half your book is written already. You compile that in a really reasonable way, add some additional information that's not available on the blog, and your listeners or your readership on your blog will be compelled to purchase your book. Another thing is CD, podcasts, and YouTube. If you've written a book, you can now get on YouTube, talk about your information, but also have backup as that authority. And go global, not local. I love this one. Writing a book allows your message to stretch past your office, your city, or your country. The internet and ebook sales allows mass markets in multiple languages to have your access to your information. And I mean that because there are people out there that will convert your book to other languages if they like the content. I had that happen to me in Spain, working with a woman now who is translating my book into Spanish, but a very clean Spanish from Spain as opposed to from some of the Latin countries. Now I want you to take note that on these slides, I've talked about what's below the line. Everything above the line is information that I got off the internet from the New York Times Book Review that is all about big profits in business of books. So, internet, POD, and print on demand, this is your little bonus here. POD means print on demand, which means you minimize your cost with regard to production of your book, and ebooks are great because they're free. You get 70% of net proceeds generally from Amazon.com or your publisher. So there's high gains, rate of return in writing this book. You take your time out, put it together, assemble it. If you're selling on ebooks, there are people making tons of money as another form of income. Okay, and give them something to talk about is my final slide with regard to information and reasons why you want to write a book. 75% of 300 booksellers were surveyed identified the look and design of the book cover to be the most important. I'm reading that top slide because I used to call the cover my cradle in my book. When I was writing, I would use it. I designed it first before I finished so that I could look at it and remind myself. It was my beacon, my goal. So give them something to talk about. Radio, TV, local papers thrive on new material. If you write a book, there's some reason for them to talk about you, the massage therapist, the chiropractor, the person that sells the best widgets ever, because you're an authority. So when they see the book, you give them something to talk about. PR log. We have a local publication in my area called The Accent. You can just give them information and they'll print it every week with regard to local news. Well, as an author in the local community, that's interesting. As an author with a workshop for other authors, that's interesting. So I'm in there. It's free. It's free information. It also gives me radio and local TV time because I'm seen as somebody that has done it, and you can too. So I have here a sample headline. Local real estate investors share secrets on how to save your home. See, you're giving back, and that's something that the local newspaper would thrive on through your book. So these are some of the examples of why you want to write a book. Now, the how. Can I talk about the how yet, Marty?
Feel free.
Okay. Unleash the Writer Within is a course that I have just come to market as a novelist, but I am also working on one of the really, really cool things that you can do if you're afraid of the how, right? You know you have information, but you're not a writer, or you don't feel like you can put it all together or have the discipline it takes to put a book together. You can either hire someone to write it for you or in collaboration with, or if you feel like you have it but you don't know how to put those tools together, something like my course Unleash the Writer Within will allow you to learn the how and then take those tips and tools home with you and keep on going. So I really kind of blasted through those because I know time is of the essence with midweek momentum. But if you have any questions with regard to this, and I know we're going to take a question spot right now, you can always feel, if you don't wish to share on air, to contact me personally at Kathleen@UnleashTheWriter.com or check out my site to learn more about Unleash the Writer Within. But I'm sure for anyone that's out there, if you have any questions, I'll give it back to you, Marty, with regard to that portion of the show.
Well, thank you very, very much. We appreciate that, Kathleen.